Okay, man, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up.
Break it down like this.
Hello, Internet. This is Gino that Pinguino. Except it's not. What's this? This is Jeff from the Occasional Final Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Deep Listens Dungeon World Experiment Episode 1. I think this has a name. I think we were going with Deep Dungeons. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go.
That's a Final Fantasy reference, so that works.
Yeah, that's in the spirit of Final Fantasy. Here's something that probably won't look much like Final Fantasy at all. I am going to be running a game. So we've kind of cobbled together this merry band of miscreants to tell some stories, basically, in a fantasy world that we're making as we've gone along. With me today, I've got, as I mentioned, a merry band. Merry band, can you tell me a little bit about yourselves?
Hi, I'm Em. You might know me from the main Deep Listens podcast. I will be playing Zahenna of the Baron, the errant wolf. I'm a elven druid.
I'm Reki. I write into Deep Listens a lot. Not so much lately. But hey, I'm going to be playing York, who is a barbarian, and he is the custodian of strife.
This is a podcast. We're doing a podcast. This isn't. We get to record a podcast. It's not about Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
this is a thing that we can do.
it's
This is
legal.
possible?
I've never heard
ran
of
it
this.
There's management in here.
I'm not used to this idea. I feel so free. I'm Chris, better known as ZP Redacted, also known as Pendrell.
Chris Pendrell Redacted.
Yes.
I guess that's my turn then. I am Soup, and I will be Cremator Ashley, your local immolator for the evening.
All right. So, Dungeon World, the system we're running, is a game that is sort of spun off of a predecessor game, Apocalypse World, part of a family of role-playing systems, which are just kind of under an umbrella, powered by the apocalypse. It is a more narrative-based system than you may be more familiar with something like Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder. My goals as a dungeon master in this system are fairly straightforward. I am meant to create a fantasy world, fill my characters' lives with adventure, and make sure we are playing to find out what happens. That means, practically speaking, a lot of this is kind of being generated as we go, laying down railroad track in front of the train, more or less. With that in mind, let us begin. Woodly, 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 woodly. Maybe some fantasy music will be here.
Yeah, when we have the intro music, this is where it goes.
Oh yeah,
Gentlest little tap of a tambourine, a lute
it's nice.
in the background.
Celtic music.
Yes. A cello. Okay, so the sun rises in the east over a hill which protects the small Hamburg of Nassad. Nassad is a one-horse town. Not a lot going on there. And as the camera heads over the crest of this hill, we see the backs of 4 individuals making their way into this town. As the camera gets closer, we draw into focus a tall man wearing silks. York, could you tell us a little bit about what the folks behind this camera are seeing when they see you, as this camera sort of pans around you?
They see he's a tall, lanky individual. Looks like his arms and legs look longer and bigger than they should be for his body type, wearing a lot of oranges and blues for silks, and he's got some strange tattoos running down his arms, his legs, and ending up in a blossoming symbol on his forehead. He's got a little bit of stubble, a little bit of a beard starting to form, and he carries a rather oversized blade horizontally across his back, and he kind of walks with a strange stupor.
Like sort of hunched a little bit?
Yeah, kind of, but just like with a strange gaunt. Like he's not there, really. He
Okay.
walks, but unnaturally.
Very interesting. Very cool. To the left of York is another individual. The distinct outline of an elf is going to be made out. Zahana, tell us a little bit about what the audience sees.
Zahenna is scrawny, messy-haired, very thin. She's like a gray coloration, kind of looks sick, and her hands are noticeable in that they are black up to the forearms. And there are like black cracks going up them. She is wearing weathered hides. She has haunting eyes and messy hair.
Interesting. Standing to the left of this elf, yet another elf. This one perhaps a little more ridiculous looking. Right off the bat, Pendrell, tell us a little bit about what the audience sees.
Pendrell. Unlike the other elf in the party, Pendrell has, let's say, more flamboyant colors, while also looking thin himself. Pendrell's robes are covered in feathers and frills and fancy dressings here and there. But upon a closer examination, you also notice that his clothing appears a little worn, to suggest that they're bits and pieces pulled from interesting places, as well as not always having the attention to detail as you'd expect from someone who has a little pomp and circumstance in their step. The cuffs, they appear to have some wear and tear on them, and when you look more towards his boots and his feet, the bottom of his pants have mud and dirt stains. They are weathered.
A well-weathered... I'm sorry, I can't take bards serious. I'm gonna do my best. So, push back on me treating you like an actual circus clown. Or not.
Nah.
Perhaps? Nah. Okay.
Yeah, we're good. I've earned it.
Perhaps just a little bit to the back of this group, another individual follows. Ashley, tell us a little bit about Ashley.
Ashley is a middle to late aged man, dark skin with gray to white hair. I'd say more white with gray sort of speckling throughout. Ash smeared pretty much wherever his hands would touch, so across his face and robe. He wouldn't look out of place, honestly, where any other peasant would. There's not much too remarkable about his appearance. Very average, I would say.
Very average.
Yes, a bit stouter than most people, probably on the shorter side, but pretty wide. He does have something of an intimidating appearance.
All right, there we go. We've painted a picture of this crew. So, one of the abilities that the Bard has, Pendrell, is when you enter an important location, you may ask the GM for one fact from the history of that location.
Yes. GM, I would like to know what are the sources of income in this place?
Well,
Economy is what interests me and my talents the most.
So, the only real source of income for this place is the fact that there's a reasonably dilapidated inn known as the Sheep's Head, which is in this town, and it's just kind of a place that folks wandering north up to the Fluke Highlands stop in on occasion. Other than that, it's basically subsistence farming in this area.
Can I ask a question about the sheep's head? Does the sign have words on it, or is it just a picture of a sheep's head?
It is actually just a picture of a sheep's head. Upon entering the orbit of this town, a gentleman approaches. He is wearing a sort of blue hooded cloak and seems mostly interested in talking to Zahenna. Zahenna, do you recognize this person?
Probably not. I don't think I come this way. When I do travel, it's mostly a one-way trip. I don't double back anywhere.
Okay, the gentleman sees you from a distance, is making his way towards you. Gets within, speaking distance and says, "Good, you finally made it. Follow me, please."
What about the rest of us?
Oh, yes, they can come too. I was told there'd be a party.
Doesn't look like much of a party.
Well, you know that if we are going to have a party, there has to be jokes. I heard a good joke when I was in my last party. Would you like to hear it?
I go after the guy.
What do you call a fish with two knees? A two-knee fish.
You're the joke, Pendrell.
The gentleman turns back, looks directly at Pendrell and visibly sighs, like somewhere between like disgust and genuine sorrow, and then just continues to walk towards one of basically the 10 structures in this town, which is a 2-story sort of ramshackle building made of wood. He leads you through a front door and takes you up a flight of stairs. There are 2 gentlemen who you pass on the way in, also in blue robes. They are sitting around a table and they keep to themselves. Zahenna, he leads you into a room, gestures to the rest of the party that they're able to follow. There are just kind of stools sort of arranged around a really low table. It's candle lit, and the smell is very, like, fragrant. It's, like, unusually incensey in this room for, like, what looks to be just kind of a shed. What do you do?
It smells like Pendrell in here.
I am pretty familiar with burning things and things that are meant to be burned. Would I know exactly what sort of incense this is, or is it just like general, unimportant? Is it meant to do anything?
It is. It's what you. Okay, so what you would know as someone who knows quite a bit about flame and burny things in general is that it's not like necessarily like a magical substance is being burned, but it's an expensive substance. It's a wood not of this area. It's probably come from like quite a distance away that they're using. It's like an unusual show of opulence for the rest of what's going on in this room.
Bourgeoisie.
So this individual, he takes down sort of the hood of his robe, and what you see is another elf, head shaved completely. He's got kind of an unusual shaped nose, like it's been broken. He looks directly at Zahenna and says, "So you'd like to know something about restoring your land, huh?"
That would be useful to me.
Says, "Well, tell me what happened."
Where to begin? So she kind of scratches her head. It's like, well, when we first began, it was forest. And then our people noticed foreigners coming through more and more consistently. They brought with them machines that dug into the earth. These strangers sent no envoys. They took what they wanted, and now we have paid the price. Their infection still lingers.
And these builders of these machines, what sort of people were they?
Cowards. They wore masks. They came in shrouds. They were hired by someone. We do not know who. We left their masks as warnings, but they still continued. We called them ants. Drones workers.
Is there any food in the room? Like, is there like a fruit bowl or like a spread on the table?
There's not anything you notice on the table. You did notice as you came up the stairs that the 2 gentlemen downstairs seemed to be standing around some sort of food.
Oh, downstairs? Well, I'm not going to go downstairs to grab something off the table.
You know, you could ask.
Oh, no. That'd be like imposing.
Yeah, that's in this fantasy world, the worst thing you could do is imposing. That's like rule number 4. Everyone knows.
Ashley's a very agreeable. He's a nice guy. Oh, he just burns bodies for good reasons.
You know, York will ask for some food, though.
Oh, now that he's asking, now it won't feel weird. Ash.
Sure. Yeah, the elf sort of turns his head towards the door and says, "Lyko or Braze, bring up some of that gruel, please."
You knew we were coming.
Well, why wouldn't I have known? Well, I could tell you a little bit about the people responsible for more or less destroying the Great Forest, our motherland. Or I could point you towards the solution. What are you more interested in?
Zahenna is considering this. I am more of a solution woman myself, but the more information we gain, perhaps it can aid us.
As you know, long ago our people came to this land from across the Great Sea. There were many songs that were sung by our people in this land, songs which barely exist now, only in memory, yet may still well be recorded in those lands.
And a thing or two about music, sounds of our people.
You also know a lot about very poor jokes, he says.
It takes one to know one.
A little wry smile comes across his face. He says, "I enjoy the cut of your jib. My name is Arendrio. I shall tell you what I know."
Could you give me his name one more time?
His name is Arendrio.
Arendrio. Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah, elf sounding, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. Arendriel, could I speak to you
Yes.
for a moment?
Naturally.
I have an ability. Give me fuel, give me fire, and when I gaze intensely into someone's eyes, I may ask, what fuels the flames of your desire, and they will answer with the truth, even if the character does not know or would otherwise keep this hidden. So
Hmm.
I am going to do that, Arendriel. What fuels the flames of your desire? I'm just trying to figure out if he is
He says
bad.
he is.
Like
Yeah,
on
if
the
he's
up
not
and up,
evil.
yeah.
Like, this is a pretty good ability. It's kind of way too good. And
You
I'm
have
going to
to
be
roll.
using
Too
it.
early in the game for us to get screwed over.
Yeah, it's. I think it's too early for me to have mind reading.
Yeah, it's weird because like a lot of the Immolator is a very house ruled class. And one of the things that people identified very quickly when this book came out is like, that's a really potent thing to just give someone, like right
Yeah,
off the bat.
immediately, straight up.
Like, there's no dice roll or anything involved?
Nope. I could even ask you. I could even mind read you
Oh,
guys.
that'd be pretty good for me.
What the hell?
Okay, so how does this look?
After asking him to speak, I sort of stare at him for a little while to the point where it's uncomfortable, and then I ask. And while gazing into his eyes, my eyes sort of, he's got like black eyes, but when he does this, like little red glows like come out sort of like a coal that's already been like burnt.
Huh.
You know, you still have that red glow like underneath. Very faintly see that in the irises of his eyes. While he asks this question. But otherwise, it seems to be mundane.
Okay, he is sort of, let's say, entranced by this innate ability of yours, and he says to see King Halvor dead.
Do we know who that is? Who the king?
King of what?
Give us the lore.
There's lore going on. It's
Slam
amazing.
it down.
Question, are we aware that he did that ability? Like, did we notice that he did something to kind of get that answer, or is this just like...
I'm going to say that I've never done that around you guys before.
Are we weirded out right now?
I mean, yeah.
Maybe
so-
the guy's just very honest.
Does it
How are you
look
all-
like something to us?
I like to think that Ashley's always been like kind of weird, very cryptic almost. Like he acts like this often enough. Like it's not always magical, but he acts kind of weird. This kind of thing isn't out of the ordinary for him, but maybe the like immediate response to just this pretty deep question.
In character, I will be intrigued, and it's like, my goodness, you go for broke now, don't you? I was going to try walking on hot burning coals, but I got cold feet myself.
Funny.
York groans.
Arendriel also sort of groans. It's like, again, yes, I suppose you've all figured it out now. I would like to hire you. I believe the solution to restoring this wasteland from which you come, Zahenna, lies with our distant relatives in far lands. I happen to know something of how one might get there, but it's more or less of a network, and to get to my contact, it's going to require a little bit of travel on your behalf. And, as it just so happens, it may present you a unique opportunity to acquire some revenge if interested.
Go on.
3 days north of here, you will come into the uplands of King Halvor. Now, I believe, and people of this sect believe, that it was King Halvor who, in fact, had in his employ these masked individuals who raided your land.
Interesting.
Beyond the uplands some ways lies the coast. To get there requires a significant journey. However, I have contact, by bird, with individuals who may have information for you on how one might successfully embark to the ancestral land of our people.
Zahenna isn't hard to convince. She turns to the others. Are they included in this arrangement? Can we leave the bard with you, please?
I would be disinterested in such an arrangement.
I figured.
I believe he should stay with us. Music can change a man, for better or worse. This will be beneficial.
If you believe so.
We could cut him in half and leave him in the ditch.
Oh, goodness, why is it all the macabre here? Goodness, saving the elvish lands. You know, I once knew an elf queen who had to see the doctor because she had such low elf esteem.
My plan looks better by the second.
I'm going to have to ask him to stand outside.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Do the elves have
Right.
royalty?
I can be quiet and play along with your charade.
Can York's just gonna stand up? Places. What kind of food did they give me? Gruel.
Yeah, what was presented to you is like a frankly very thin sort of gruel, and the individual who handed it to you seemed kind of resentful that he was doing it in the first place.
Okay, so I guess York will have the gruel sit down on the side, probably just on the floor, grabs Pendrell with both hands, and
No!
just walks him outside.
No! Put me down, you beast!
Preferable.
Well,
Mind, there is something which may aid you nearby here on this endeavor of yours.
Yes.
About a day's ride south of here is a tomb, the name of which is more or less forgotten in this area. It happens to be the tomb of an elf, an old elf who came to this land many, 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 many years ago, as lore would have it. There's a sword in there which you may find of value, if legend proves to be true.
I don't use swords.
It seems there are those in your party who do, though.
Turns to the others.
My sword is the only sword I need.
I feel like Pendrell might use swords. I'm not sure.
Are there any windows in the building? Can I look through the window to see what they're doing and knock on it?
oh yeah, you're outside.
Probably.
Oh, my God! Can I have things over?
I will go open.
knick-knack joke.
I'll open the window. Who's there?
So he's like literally outside of the building, like looking up, like, me, look at me.
I am gonna open the window and look down. Does he have a sword on? Do you have a sword on your back, Pendrell?
I've got a rapier. Does that count?
Yes, he has a sword. I believe we should get this weapon.
And I'm sure the legend might be of interest to you as well.
What sort of legend is it?
It's an old tale, one which the elves in my corner of the world certainly know. The tale of Calorel.
Don't know that one.
Not a title, unfortunately, simply Calorel. Calorel was responsible for driving the dwarves from this area aeons ago. Calorel was interred, as I understand it. It would be perhaps 500 years ago by the current reckoning. And it was told that Calorel's sword was responsible for the deaths of hundreds of individual dwarves.
Dwarfsbane.
Be warned, though, I've told it's a difficult place to get into. I've not heard of anyone successfully entering the place.
We are very resourceful.
So I can see. You've even brought your own comedian along.
He has his uses.
You talking about me?
You might make
No.
emergency food.
Yeah, he counts as one adventure ration for the mechanical purposes of this game.
I like Pendrell. A song is just the thing to lift the spirits on a weary adventure.
I fear his songs do not for me.
I can
must-
deal with the songs. It's everything else that I have umbrage with.
Well, it's been a true joy to meet you, Zaheda, but I must take my leave of you. There's business to attend to.
Before you go, could you mark on this map where we need to go? I'm just going to hold out map. It's all like dusty and ashy because I don't wash my hands.
Sure, okay. So, the increment of time that I gave you, stroke distance, a couple minutes ago, which is now gone from my head, let's say it was...
I think it was 3 days.
That sounds right. I was like, did I say 3 days? Pretty sure it said 3 days. So, let's measure that in terms of miles. Let's say generally it's like 20 to 25 miles. He basically takes your map, locates Nassad, sort of tracks his finger down in a southward direction and draws a little X. He's like, there, 3 days, south.
Thank
Don't
you.
mind the forest.
I don't have enough rations for 3 days of travel.
So that's something you're going to have to figure out yourself, unfortunately. We've been here long enough, hence the gruel.
Very well. The wildlife in this area, would you say it is plentiful or...
He makes this sort of like gesture you'd make at someone if they were like, what's going wrong in the world right now?
Oh
Sort of
yeah,
throw
we're
your
in the
arms a
blasted
circle.
lands, huh? That is called the blasted land.
Yeah. You are sort of at like the edge of the blasted land. It's just like, I don't know, what do you think?
Ooh, That's looking bad, huh?
Question: can we eat the turned wildlife of the Blasted Lands?
Yeah, are they safe to eat?
That's an interesting question. Zahenna, what do you know about the fauna of the Blasted Lands at this point? As I recall, the Blasted Land had something like a swamp left in it.
Yeah.
Let's say in like the southwest quadrant.
Yeah, so what I said was, only the most ferocious of creatures remain in the Blasted Lands. Warped and battle-hardened from years of survival, the smaller are all but hunted to extinction or upheaved and scattered across the land. So whatever is out here is probably pretty messed up. If we can fight it and kill it, we might be able to eat it. But if that miasma gets into them, probably not great.
I wouldn't worry about it.
It'd be fine.
So I have 5 uses of my rations, and if I use 1 use each day on the way there, then I'll be out of rations on the way back, assuming it doesn't take more than a day in the dungeon. I
Rations.
am going to buy some rations. I have 10 coins before we
I also
leave.
have 5 uses of dungeon rations.
I am a druid, so I could probably find
Some way to
berries and stuff.
subsist.
Yeah.
Blasted berries.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, as a druid, in fact, you don't need
I don't
anything.
need to. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for
You don't
everyone
need-
else, yeah, I don't need to eat or drink.
Oh, that's crazy. That explains
Yeah.
why you can survive in this place.
Yeah.
It's actually an interesting wrinkle. Sure, okay. So the only real place to do any commerce in this town happens to be the Sheep's Head. So with that knowledge, what do you do?
Well, with my coins, I want to buy some, probably not even like genuine rations like dough or something I can cook on a fire, cheese, whatever, and some alcohol, whatever they've got there. He may be a cremator, but he likes to wet his whistle.
Okay. So upon entering the Sheep's Head, you see a table. There's like, sort of long bench sort of picture, sort of a mead hall-ish arrangement, but like on the scale of Skyrim does their like mead halls. So it's like 3 tables. There's maybe half a dozen clientele, an individual going about serving drinks who is a blonde woman, and then a gentleman standing at the counter. Again, all very much like Skyrim. To sort of paint a mental picture, it's a lot of exposed wood and sort of like sooty candle smell that
Oh,
fills
I
the
love
place.
that.
So, what do you do?
Is it smoky in here to anyone else?
Yes, it is perfect. Pardon me, barkeep. Would you have any unprepared food that I could bring with me to prepare on our, I don't want to say journey, but our journey?
Yes. The innkeep, whose name is Roderick, seems sort of like confused by your hesitation. But I was like, certainly, yes, we have some dry rations to supply you. Yes, absolutely. Very reasonable request. Take them all the time, in fact.
Fantastic.
So,
And how
you know-
much would you say about half a keg of beer would go? I've got 10 coins.
10 coins, huh?
Oh, I didn't fill out my coin section.
I didn't either.
So we have this finer stuff that will go for 8, and we have a, let's call it the house ale, which we're
That one.
actually... Yes, that's actually at a sale. That's going for 5.
Excellent. I will collect the ale outside. Orc, would you mind carrying this? I am frail in my old age.
York makes the kind of sound you would hear out of a demonic blacksmith in like a Darksiders game. Like the sort of just like and just heaves this keg onto his shoulder.
Thank you, friend.
Aren't you like 45?
The years get away from
Uh-huh.
me. Yeah, he's like 45.
Gotcha.
Alright, he's gonna share. He's not gonna like drink all of it. It's everybody's. Alright, so I spent 5 coins.
Are we all starting with 10?
I started with 10 because it was one of my starting items. I could choose between that or a healing potion, and I chose that.
No.
I guess I don't have any coins.
Yeah, me either. I mean, that makes sense for me, I suppose.
Yeah, I can see it.
I do occasionally receive payment for my services as a cremator. Only occasionally.
It should be noted that this cask of ale has a weight of 1 that you'll be carrying around.
Oh,
Wow, only one? Not bad.
I mean, my max load is 10, so it's not insignificant.
You could carry 10 of those.
Yeah, it's a very useful use of your space, basically. As you are all sort of milling about in this tavern, an individual at a table seems particularly quiet and sullen. He is looking directly at Pendrell.
Yes?
Pendrell, what do you do?
I obviously see a sullen and dark and broody man looking at my direction and immediately make a beeline towards him.
He stands immediately, says, I don't need any more bullshit out of you.
I understand, good sir, but I feel like you and we had a rough introduction.
A rough introduction. Okay, you insulted me in front of Enthuse not 8 months ago. It led to a fight. I'm now barred from the bar, and I'm forced to wander around to find a drink.
I mean, it was a fun, adventurous story, too.
A fun, adventurous story. He raises a hand to take a swing at you. What do you do?
Dodge it.
Go ahead and do a defy danger roll.
Now it's a game.
First roll of the game.
Okay, so what is this? I'm rolling...
So defy danger is so there's a couple different things you could do. So how the defy danger, so here's a fun meta conversation about Dungeon World. One of the sort of ethos rules is don't say the name of your move. So if I were to say, I'm going to punch you, and your solution, rather than like, I'm going to try to punch your fist right out of the air, or whatever, let's just read the defy danger. Defy danger says, when you act despite an imminent threat or suffer a calamity, say how you deal with it and roll. If you do it by powering through, use strength. By getting out of the way or acting fast, use dexterity. By enduring, constitution. With quick thinking, intelligence. Through mental fortitude, wisdom. Or using charm and social grace, charisma. So all rolls in this game are 2d6 plus something. Like, there's one exception to that. So if you were to try to duck out of the way of that fist, you would roll 2d6 plus your dexterity for.
Dexterity is a 0, so we're just gonna roll and pray to the random number goddess that thing's all good. Rolled a 5 and a 1. Total of
Awesome.
6.
Wait, a 5 and a 1.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah,
Total
okay.
of 6.
Total of 6. Awesome. Okay, so when you fail, 2 things happen, which is I make a move, which is to say I do something that you did not want to have happen, and you get an experience point. So when you fail, I'll try to say this every time, but be sure to give yourself 1 XP, like every single time. So congratulations, mark experience. Go ahead and roll a d6.
Oh, this is for damage, isn't it?
Yeah.
I rolled a 5.
Wow.
Great. Okay, so take that off of yourself minus whatever armor that you've got listed.
Awesome. That's gonna be 4. Okay, so I basically got slobber knockered.
Clobbered.
But good sir. Like I said, maybe we got off on the wrong foot.
It's
And
like,
I'm
yeah.
gonna put my hand in my backpack after getting hit, and then I pull out my fiddle. What if I serenaded you with a nice song?
That's just gonna get you punched again.
Yeah.
Does York notice this is happening? This is in full view. Right?
Yes, actually, you notice that Pendrell's just been slugged in the face and is reaching into his bag, apparently pulling out a fiddle. What do you do?
A gun.
I walk over. I pick up Pendrell by the scruff of his top, set him on his feet, and then just stand back with my arms crossed.
Wait, I have this under control. There once was a dwarf
Is he strumming the fiddle?
that was in the Green Dragon Inn.
I don't
The
think
individual
he
who
knows
just
that.
took a swing at you is made significantly angrier by this music playing and makes a move to basically grab your fiddle out of your hands. What do you do?
I'm gonna dodge again. I'm gonna try. This is my fiddle. No, sir. I can get a hint. I'm gonna try and charm, saying, "Okay, lesson learned. Put it away."
So that's your the charm spell that you're doing here as a sort of
I'm gonna try and charm my way out of this.
Okay. Walk me through exactly how you're going to charm your way out.
Good sir. How about we say this good knocking in my noggin is all that you needed to do to teach me my lesson that I need to be more careful about my actions.
Okay. So roll, like I said, another defy danger, but this time use your charisma modifier.
I should have used that the first time. That's a +2.
You know, that's the Dungeon World game I listen to. The bard does a lot of try to be a ninja, and he gets hit a lot.
I was going to say, does it work?
Sometimes.
Awesome. I rolled a 2 and a 1.
Wow.
That's a total of 3 plus 2, so I rolled 5.
All right, mark experience.
What's up, what's up with you and fives?
I can't even bond with them to help him.
You do have bond with him.
Yeah, but I would just give him a +1, and then
That's
yeah,
not
I guess
helpful.
he
yeah,
would. Yeah.
fair enough.
Hannah's just sitting back at the bar, drinking, watching this.
So what happens is he looks you up and down, and then he looks over at York, and he says, I have a feeling we could probably kick both of your asses. What do you say, Jim? Another gentleman who's quite a bit larger than him stands up on the other side of the table and says, yeah, I think so. York, a significantly larger dude, is now stepping sort of around this sort of long table towards you.
Right.
What do you do?
Are there guards in this city?
Is the bartender just going to let
It is small.
a fight happen just in their bar?
It's a bar, so yeah.
Yeah, okay, so Roderick is just sort of standing behind his bench, sort of like a bar shelf right now, watching the proceedings. I will say, there's brain words that I know that I
Yeah,
can
if there's-
use right
If
now.
there's any sort of law enforcement here, I want to call for them. Like, I just want to sort of go outside and go, guards, help.
Said it was like a one-horse town with like 10 buildings, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. There might not be any
maybe.
law enforcement. If there are no guards, like if I didn't see any on the way in, then I'm going to call for a Rendriel. I'm going to ask
So-
him to help.
Okay, so in Dungeons & Dragons, there's the magic, like, I roll perception to see what's going on. The sort of narrative equivalent in Dungeon World is called Discern Realities.
Okay.
Discern Realities, which is, you can generally use it whenever. Frankly, it's used when I don't describe something enough. The text is, when you closely study a situation or person, roll plus wisdom. A 10 or more, you can ask 3 questions from this list. On a 7 to 9, you get 1. So the questions are, what happened here recently? What is about to happen? What should I be on the lookout for? What here is useful or valuable to me? Who's really in control? What here is not what it appears to be?
Oh, really going to let me get my ass kicked and instead of standing by and fighting with me?
I feel like calling the guards is the easiest way to not get your ass kicked and also keep me from getting my ass kicked.
He might get put in prison.
All right. Well, I will roll. That is 8. I got an 8 total.
All right. So,
So I can ask one of these questions, right?
yes.
What here is useful or valuable to me, I think would be the one I need to ask. Asking, like, in terms of what'll help me get out of here. Like, primarily I'm looking for a way to call guards or anyone who will break this up, because I don't want to fight these guys. They're just rowdy boys.
Okay. So what here is useful or valuable to you in this situation? In the sense that you're looking for law enforcement assistance. What you notice when you look at Roderick, he's got a necklace hanging around his neck. And on that necklace is a sigil which you recognize to be the sigil that more or less denotes a person of, like, law enforcement.
Okay. Roderick, is this really acceptable behavior here?
I said, well, they've drawn no weapons.
So, are you saying if I can get someone to draw a weapon, then you will stop them?
I'm saying don't draw weapons. He looks at you and sort of leans.
Can you define weapon? Because I could chuck like fire at this guy. So
Oh man, you throw a fucking wrinkle in that. As you are having this conversation, this larger individual has successfully made his way sort of around the table and is sort of rolling up on York. York, what do you do?
Would it be a discern realities to ask what I think of this dude's chances of beating me?
Yeah, I will also say, okay, so when you use a discern realities, if you wind up using the information that you get in a future dice roll, basically, as a sort of like, aha, I can use this, it's a +1 forward. Yes, you may discern realities on this individual coming towards you. Give me a
Sweet.
wisdom roll.
Hey, I got a 9, so 10.
Okay.
What should I be on the lookout for? Is this guy big? Does he look like he knows how to fight?
He does not look like he's particularly adept, but you do notice a hilt of a dagger in his left boot.
Does he look like he might pull it out? Or is he just squaring up with his fist ready to go?
I'm going to interpret that as a what is about to happen, and it looks like he is basically planning on having a fist fight with you.
Alright.
And is optimistic about his chance.
Okay. In that case, I am going to take the initiative, walk up to this guy, and say, "Do you think you have a chance, young whelp?" And I'm going to roll for my move. Oh, another 9. Plus, let's see, this plus my con. So +1, so that's a 10 on my what are you waiting for move, which is on 10 plus, they treat me as the most obvious threat to be dealt with and ignore your companions, take +2 damage ongoing against them.
All right.
And I'm going to swing at this dude, full haymaker.
Okay, go ahead and roll your... So hack and slash and then damage. So when you attack an enemy in melee, roll plus strength. On a 10 plus, you deal damage. On a 7 to 9, you exchange damage. And if you fail, bad things happen.
Ooh! Got an 11.
Oh, man.
All right. And this was just bare fist fighting, correctly?
Just bare fist fight, haymaker to the head.
So what happens is he, has sort of sidled up to you looking reasonably confident, perhaps because he's got this knife that he's planning on using. And when that haymaker connects, he actually sort of flies across the top of the table, like doesn't even make contact with it, just like clears it and winds up bouncing off the wall sort of on the other side of the room.
Damn.
He does not get up.
Yes. I'm going to turn and face whoever was accosting Pendrell, and I'm just going to stare silently, intimidatingly.
He is disinterested and fighting at this point. Over at his friend, looks at you and says, like, very meekly, just drink?
Yes. Kind of like one of those big huffs out of his nose, like like an ox.
He gestures towards Roderick. Roderick just nods, pulls what looks like the good stuff, basically. Says, it's coming out of your tab. And he just nods and hands it to you.
Yeah.
Slam it.
Yeah, I'm going to knock that one back in one go and take a seat on a nearby stool and just kind of outstretch a hand like a gesture to Pendrell and his friend. Go ahead. Do what you're going to do.
You're just evening the odds.
Yeah.
You still gotta fight this guy.
Oh, goodness. And I turn to him and it's like, I don't always say this. I'm normally not always this honest with my companions, but I really owe you one for that one. Ever need a favor? Feel free to ask for my assistance.
Zahanna, as this has all transpired, what have you been up to?
When the guy got punched across the room, Zahanna was laughing into her beer. It seemed like she was going to take a step in at the point when the big guy was approaching, and then she saw that everything was under control and sort of settled in again, observing her companions. It's like, I picked the right one, I guess.
Do any of you think we should get moving?
What time of day is it?
So the sun has set at this point.
Oh yeah, I don't want to get moving at night. That's a little scary.
Yeah, time moved really quick because it was rising when you came into town. A wizard did it, don't ask. You passed the rest of the day chillaxing, let us say. do you stay in this inn or do you wind up just leaving in the middle of? I guess I'll ask.
We rest.
Yeah.
How much does it cost to stay here?
Good question.
If you gotta ask, you probably can't afford it.
Well, I'm worried about them. I'm the only one with money, it seems.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm
That's
destitute.
I've got 3 coins. I think they're gold coins.
There is actually an answer for this. So the official answer is a week's stay at a peasant inn would be 14 minus your charisma, not modifier, but score coins. So, that's divided by 7. So what, 2 minus charisma? So let's just say functionally it's like 2 or 3 coins for the lot of you to stay.
A lot of us? All of us together?
Well, it's for one room, right? So we would all, if we were in the same room, then it'd be, a few coins.
Or you could, head out of town and make camp for
Could
the
hoof it. Yeah, I mean, we've got a druid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the effectiveness of our camp.
Yeah, I'm saying let's save the money now.
Yeah, I've already spent half of my money on alcohol.
It's all we
Very
need. It'll keep
useful.
us warm.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fire will keep us warm. Keep us wasted. Yeah. So I've got, when I make camp next to a large open flame, I regain all of my HP. I don't really need that, but I'm letting you know right now, because I'm going to make a large open flame every time we camp.
Nice.
So, yeah. While you guys do the actual camping, I'm just going to make a big fire.
Okay. So the evening basically passes quite dully. At this point, you've got basically like a 2-day journey. On the 3rd day, you're going to arrive there. See how much we enjoy doing these fun rules. There is a move. Everything's a move. Everything is a move. Everything is a move. Called Undertake a Perilous Journey, which says when you travel through hostile territory, choose one member of your party to act as trailblazer, one to scout ahead, and one to be a quartermaster.
What is the difference between a trailblazer and a scout?
The trailblazer will reduce the amount of time it takes to reach your destination, potentially. A scout will spot any trouble quick enough to let you get the drop on it. And a quartermaster will reduce the number of rations.
Okay.
I'll be the scout.
I will be the quartermaster.
I suppose I'll blaze a trail.
That allows me to play my music to entertain us.
Yeah, I imagine that's what you'd be like, oh, I'm helping too. You just strum away on your fiddle.
Okay. So let's go ahead and have the trailblazer. Let's go ahead and have your roll first.
Okay, what am I rolling?
So
You
this will
roll
be
first.
a 2d6 plus wisdom roll.
Alrighty.
Oh.
Okay, so I got a 2 nat ones.
Got a double 1.
And my wisdom's 1, so I got a 3.
Okay.
I had to run
I
out
made my
eventually.
quartermaster roll already. Before we did that, I got a 9 total.
Man. Okay, so quartermaster. Man, that's such a great opportunity for me as a dungeon master, as a game master, not a dungeon master. Dungeon Masters copyright by Wizards of the Coast. Copyright
World
2000.
This is
Yeah.
The
real
world
long.
master.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast is gonna sue me.
I think I
Yeah.
want to hang around with York because he saved my ass that one time. I think that makes sense, right?
Probably. Oh no.
Oh, York, I still have not forgotten what you have done for me. Oh, I've been thinking all night long about gracing you with a serenading song. I think I have something in your memory. Sharpen your swords and bring your shields, because our friend York will punch you in your pail.
You can just see York's jaw
All
hardening.
well armed and self-assured, while our friend York... Yeah, I got nothing. And it's
Okay.
like I'm desperately trying to sing a song in his honor and horribly failing as a result.
York's like starting to rock back and forth.
Okay, so what happens is, York, as you're out trying to forge a path to get people through this forest which lies between the town of Masad and this tomb, is that the only thing of note that you find no like amazing path forward. It's just a thick forest. It's a lot of undergrowth you're getting through. And on occasion, with increasing frequencies, you get farther in, you find these big, deep claw marks that have been scarred through a bunch of the trees, like these thick oak bark trees, and then there's just like 3 distinct lines, like a pair of them, that run from maybe about twice your height up the tree down.
Whoa.
So that is what you find while you are trailblazing along this path. Okay, Scout, can I get a roll from you?
Rolled a 10.
Okay.
Nice.
So when a scout rolls a 10, while you are out scouting, later in the evening on the second night you were out, you come upon a den. At this point, you're, let's say probably about 100 yards, like, a front of the rest of your party. You see...
Is there any sign of life outside of it?
Yes, what used to be life, you see the sort of desiccated corpses of what appear to be some elk that have had a real number done on them. And in this clearing, there's sort of thatched arrangement on the ground, covering what appears to be kind of a divot in the ground. What do you do?
Can you go into more detail on that thatched thing?
Sure. This sounds like a really good opportunity to do like a discern reality. Some of this is kind of fun because it's on the DM to decide like what your characters would know. So this could be a spout lore check very easily, as well as a discern realities, I guess. Let's go with discern realities, actually. That'd be fine. So can you do a wisdom roll for me, please?
Another 10. I'm so wise.
You're like, you're like the opposite of Pendril so far.
Yeah.
Why couldn't I roll well? And I got punched in the face.
Yeah. On the other hand, think of all the experience you've gained so far.
2 wonderful
You're ahead of the
points.
game.
Yeah, experience is actually kind of like, it takes 8 points to get to level 2. The experience curve in this game is like very short for what it's worth. So, okay, so you rolled a 10, so you can ask 3 of the questions.
What should I be on the lookout for?
From your recall of like general forested areas, things you should be on the lookout for would be sort of your forest megafauna, particularly looking around at like the sort of critters scattered around right here. Sort of large, we're talking on the scale of like manticore, owlbear, apex predator-ish thing, particularly in a clearing this large. Like, that's the sort of frame of mind you're in.
Gotcha. Okay. What happened here recently?
Based on what you see of like the structure that you're seeing in front of you and the claw marks, that this looks like a classic resting den area for an owlbear.
All right. What here is not what it appears to be?
Ooh, that's a fun one. Owlbears are, animals, but they're reasonably intelligent. It comes from that part of them that happens to be a damn owl instead of a damn bear. And, if you were not a druid, if you were a fool, like Pendril, for instance, what you would be looking at...
I don't appreciate this slander.
You would see this clearing and you go, he's sleeping there in that den, which, as you know, is never the case. What you know is that there is an owlbear that is clearly in these woods, very nearby, in fact, and walking in there is just putting yourself basically in a turkey shoot situation.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is a trap that it's set up.
Yes.
Okay. If I look around, I don't see like an actual owlbear looking at me or anything, do I?
You don't see an owlbear, no.
I'm going to double back to the group and I'm going to inform them that we are in owlbear territory.
What do we know about these owlbears? Are they particularly bitey?
Bitey, clawy, basically anything. And they're
Part
smart.
of the animal is the owl and which part is the bear?
If you're close enough to find out, you've already been killed.
I would say the bad parts.
Yeah.
Everything's bad here.
So, you are our resident expert on flora and fauna. Would you say that's correct?
I would say compared to the rest of you, it's the most probable.
How should we navigate this situation?
Well, we definitely shouldn't go in that cave. As long as we steer around it and we can keep our eyes peeled. Make sure it doesn't get the jump on us.
Very well. I trust you wholehearted.
Thank you.
Night slowly descends upon you in the middle of this forest. Assuming,
Can we
which I
determine
should not
walking order? Moving order? Like,
I suppose, yeah, it'd be worth doing at this point.
can I be in the middle?
I should probably be up front.
Okay.
I'll take towards the back because we know we might be followed or something.
You want to be smack dead. If anyone attacks from the front, I'm not in front. If anyone attacks from the back, I'm not in the back.
Okay, so the marching order is YAZP, which is oddly enough is the last person is ZP. That's easy to remember. Night falls and it becomes time to make camp. Which one of you decides to take watch?
I wasn't a part of the walking party. I offer to be of use this time around.
I was going to stay up because I've got to tend to my fire to make sure it doesn't burn the forest down.
You could both.
I mean, yeah, I'm whether he keeps watch or not, I'm going to stay up.
Okay.
I got my fire keeping the boys toasty.
Okay, so with that in mind, I'm actually going to go ahead and say that for practical purposes, Ashley, you're keeping watch tonight. So there is a move. There's always a move, which is called Take Watch, which says when you're on watch and something approaches the camp, roll plus wisdom.
It's plus wit, so it's like wits. What's wits? Yeah, it's kind of small text. Yeah, I can do that.
Yes, so you hear a profound sort of snap in the distance, like the near distance, like problematically near.
I rolled
Roll
a 6.
Okay,
Total.
and then do you have a wisdom modifier on top of that at all?
That was my total.
That's your
This is
total.
You can be aided
Yeah,
if
I'm
someone is
up
there.
and about.
Ah, and you have bond with
No,
Ashley?
Oh,
no.
Great.
you forgot to do something.
Let's see. I was focused on the fire more than anything, you know. Just got to keep it hot. I'm keeping my boys toasty. That's what I call my toes.
Man, okay. Well, this is about to get violent. So, this one's pretty straightforward. On a miss, whatever lurks outside the campfire's light has drop on you, which is pretty bad for you, because what has the drop on you is about 800 pounds and comes barreling in towards you in very rapid order. What do you do?
Sounds like my wife, am I right?
Oh, and
Go-
and you give me
you're in-
crap for my puns.
Go to timeout. Go put your nose in the corner and think about what you said.